So, by 2135, work began on what would ultimately set us all up to create habitats anywhere humans dared to explore. Great! Let's get this show on the road, eh? I really hope so. Not all. Some water is created as a byproduct of methane processing, but that's usually saved in the emergency reserves. See, this place is built with redundant systems, so they can shut it down piece by piece and suffer only a reduction in throughput. That's what I get for trying to be nice, eh? What we're about to see is a glacial spire we affectionately call Emir's Horn. I'm trying to be reasonable here. I like to think they add to the natural beauty of this world. Oh, of course, stay away from them because, like anything beautiful, they can be dangerous. Sorry, but that's the price, and I'm not willing to go any lower right now. So what'll it be? Maybe we can work something out for such an enthusiastic history buff like yourself. Oh, if I'm talking too much, we can hurry the tour up. Anyway, we're headed into the ice mines. It's a natural spring where water bubbles up from deep below, but due to the cold, it keeps freezing as it reaches the surface. No, that's not any more true than it was a minute ago. Pardon the dust, but I can still answer some questions about the old Titan Astrobase biolabs. Easy. All the other ones fell to ruin when we abandoned Earth. There were technically older ones on Mars, but those have long since shuttered or been replaced. Just all right? Well, I always strive to do better, so thank you for your feedback. Thanks for coming along, and hope to see you again. We want to make sure to respect Dr. Lakota's wishes to be safer around here. Funny you should ask. After one of my tours, they always come away with a new appreciation for it. You know what? That does make sense. You're welcome, and thank you for coming along. Remember to tell your friends all about it. You don't know what you're talking about. Excellent. On to the next stop, then. So in reality, the term you hear more often is the plural, coalesce, with an E. I'm not sure. I heard someone say that before. Something about the worn-down remains of an ancient volcano producing ice via steam? So, the old biolabs are just on the other side of this building, believe it or not. We'll step on through the hallway there. Stop. I don't want to hear it. I've got my orders, but maybe we can work something out. However, most citizens here take pride in a new homestead-grown sustainable diet. Yeesh. I see what you're saying. Don't worry. Sorry for all the walking. Let me know if you need a minute. Ha! That makes a lot of sense now that I think about it. I hope there's a way to work this out. Things here are a little more old-fashioned compared to some of the large factory farms you'll find elsewhere in the settled systems. How about that? You really know your stuff. Maybe you should be the one giving the tour. I kid. I'm not trying to be a hard ass. I just can't go any lower. Yes, sirree. And that's not science fiction. It's science fact. There's a lot more history where that came from. We have just one more stop before we're done with the tour. And it just happens to be my favorite. Lots to learn at the United Colony's premier living history exhibit. If you need a guide, I'm your guy. You might be right. Well, 100 credits is very reasonable, I think. New homesteads farms are the beating heart of the colony. Without them, the original outpost would have shriveled and died. New Homestead is home to one of the oldest and largest methane processing plants in the settled systems. Doesn't look like you've got enough to cover the cost of the tour. Maybe come back later? Not if I go broke. Do you want to know what life was like for the early colonists? Starsap Tours was voted Best Historic Tour 3 years in a row. These days, it's a mix of what you find elsewhere in the galaxy, but in the olden days, it was all brought over from Earth. Hey, keep up the good work. People are coming from all around hoping to get spooked by the fabled Titan tardigrade. What a gag. It was a lot of hearty root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beets, and such, supplemented with corn, peas, green beans, soy, etc., which didn't always grow as well. Questions? Fire away! Enough already! The museum's curator, Maurice, will be happy to talk to you if you want to know more. The tavern's original owner was infatuated with them, from what I understand, and named the place in their honor. I'm still willing to talk. Huh? Sorry, I zoned out too. It has a quaint charm, doesn't it? Why would I want a tour of New Homestead, they say? It's not as if they shut down for a month. It's not shut down at all, actually. That's all just talk. Doesn't change anything. According to ancient Norse mythology, Ymir was the first Jotun, a frost giant. In the legend, they were both male and female and gave birth to the progenitors of all giants from their armpits. Oh yeah, by all means, stop in for a moment. As the colony grew, the base was expanded underground, and those hab units were recycled into materials used down here. I'm not going to take you too close to the machinery, liability and all, but I can still answer questions. When NASA divested its interest in the astrobase and turned it over to the people back in 2185, they renamed it New Homestead and established it as a historical site. Tell you what, I like you. This one's on the house, but if you enjoyed the tour, I'd really appreciate if you'd tell all your friends about me when it's done. Sure thing. Keep in mind the Biolabs exhibit is closed for visitors, but I'll be waiting if you need a minute anyway. Maybe we can work something out. Well, let me tell you, New Homestead is living history. These people are direct descendants of some of the first settlers to leave Earth. Come to New Homestead for the history. Stay for the quaint charm. What you see is what you get for the most part, except for some other people who live in the private lower levels. Well, that's that. I hope you enjoyed Starsap tours as much as I enjoy giving them. Next, we'll be heading outside, so make sure to check those seals on your suit because it's a bit chilly out there. But for now, it's just a short way to our next stop. Follow me! I assure you it wasn't intentional. I really should have been upfront about the price. I thought maybe you saw one of the flyers. Fun fact, it's also the only natural landmark on the tour. Well, I don't usually do exposure, but you certainly seem like a well-traveled individual. Maybe it'd be good for business. I'm trying to figure out how to help you. Maybe I could do something for you. I hope this tour is meeting your expectations. I know how much I'm worth. Too bad you don't. You're the boss. Let's go. Nice words, but they don't change anything. You got it. On to our next stop. Long before space travel was even a dream for the folks of Earth, even before antique machines like automobiles were possible, horses could be found everywhere. Excellent! You won't regret it. My tours are one of a kind. Okay then. That brings me to another point. You'll notice the people around here have last names related to where their families originated from on Earth, as a way to remember the past. Nobody wants that. In my experience, the right offer is always worth waiting for. All right, so this is New Homestead's main concourse. This underground area didn't exist when the original outpost, Titan Astrobase, was finished in 2130. That's okay. This tour isn't for everyone, I know that, but my price is fair, and I think it's well worth the money. No one's forcing you to go on it. Some, particularly security, and yours truly, even commute from other worlds. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, kids, little troublemakers. I'll tell the guests to be more careful. So, this next stop is a bit of an interesting one. I only recently made it part of the tour. The Brown Horse started as a simple mess hall for the scientists and workers when the underground was built, but it's been operated by the same family ever since. Now, what's a horse, you might say? They were a large four-legged animal on Earth, often used for transportation or manual labor. If you don't like it, find someone else to deal with. Sorry, I've got orders, you know. Did I? I don't think it's so unreasonable to mention the price after the pitch. Questions? Comments? Points of clarification? Not sure that's the best way to get me on your side. These very labs housed the computer systems used in that research. That and general storage for the colony. Lots of storage. It's not glamorous, but they are functional and cozy. What? No, that's not true. Onward it is! We'll be stopping by the Brown Horse Tavern later in the tour, which uses many of these locally sourced ingredients in their cooking. I haven't agreed to anything yet. Take your time. but not too much time. Don't want to keep other customers waiting, you know. Yeah, I hope so. No worries, my friend. I'll be here if you change your mind. Let's not close the door on this just yet. But first, let's go see where people live. Oh, that's a good one. Because of that, the term is much more common in the Sol system, but you may still hear it occasionally in reference to uncharted worlds. I don't see how. You know how it is. I'm the one you gotta deal with, like it or not. It takes miners working daily to clear the ice, melt it down, and keep the water flowing. So let's get this show on the road, eh? Alrighty. We'll be taking the residential elevator to the farms area on the surface level. This way, please. I heard you the first time and didn't care then either. Too bad. Nope, that's okay. I think I got it. But crude or not, it was that technology that sustained the old Astro base. And it might surprise you to learn that the same technology is still working today. During that time, the UC gets more of its resources from other places, allowing New Homestead to maintain what it needs. Good question. I believe it has something to do with not wanting to contaminate the water with methane and other chemicals. Hold on, I never said that was my final offer. And I always try to vary up the tours from time to time, so you'll never know what to expect. Ah, you're back! Are you ready to go on a Starsap tour? Only 100 credits. I knew you were a fellow history buff. Well, tell you what, you come along on one of my little tours, and I guarantee you'll learn something you didn't know before. Oh, I should have thought of that. A silly costume for entertaining the tourists. I'm kicking myself. This is what you call negotiating? I'd like to keep this civil. They tested many different sites, performed deep core ice drilling, and more, yet nothing turned up. So, we're gonna head back inside through the methane processing plant. Try not to touch anything on your way. I don't know. It sounds like you understand this stuff better than I do. You think I'm a pushover? Nice words, but they don't change anything. I really doubt it. You're kind of pathetic, aren't you? Ooh, appreciate the sentiment all the same, I really do, but it doesn't look like you've actually got what you say you've got there. Feel free to check out the museum exhibit in the main concourse here. Ha ha! Okay, that's pretty good. I'd like to think so. Moving right along, we're going to learn about Titan's great natural resources. Like many worlds with atmosphere, the higher you go, the windier it gets. But you'll notice that the farms here are smaller and staffed by humans, not robots. You'll find most of the locals here are very friendly to tourists like yourself. Hey, thanks for stopping by. Oh, that's too bad. Really a shame. I always tell people New Homestead is one of the most interesting colonies in the settled systems. And you know what? Sadly, they're undergoing some light renovation. Otherwise, there'd be interactive activities for kids to learn about how they used to search for microbial life here. Absolutely. Careful, though. I wouldn't stand too close to the turbines if I were you. But Anya will be able to tell you more herself. Feel free to ask her. It doesn't feel right coming from me when she's standing right over there. The museum curator, Maurice Leon, has more information about that if you're interested. You can find him inside the main concourse. Loves talking about it. The original Titan Astrobase had more habitation pods on the surface connected to some of the old structures you may have seen in the back. I hear you. They wanted a name that seemed like it fit into the stories they grew up with, so they changed their last name. And the Starsap family name was born. These pods are sealed and climate controlled, the perfect environment for growing the hydroponic vegetation needed for survival in the early days of the colony. Anya Seattle is the current owner of the Brown Horse. It's been in the Seattle family for generations. Having fun, I hope. No way. It's my ass if something goes wrong here. Mostly. I'm sure you've noticed the occasional brownouts. I guess these old machines have a habit of freezing up, what with all the ice out here. You know what? You're wasting my time. The ice helps prevent impurities in the water. At least this is what I've been told. You're welcome to keep your suit on if you'd like. As you might expect from a place called the Ice Mines, it can get a little chilly. Well, I really hope so. Ymir even predated the Norse gods, who, as it turns out, killed Ymir to fashion the earth and all of humanity from the corpse. Why would I want a tour of New Homestead, he says. I get the feeling you're trying to stiff me. Oh, they are indeed. Colonists still cultivate plant-based food for their own consumption here in New Homestead. Same here, friend. We're in the same boat, it seems. Of course. Watch your step. It can get slick around here. I'll stay behind. You don't scare me. The way I see it, you need what I'm offering more than I need what you're paying. I wouldn't recommend it. First, it's an active work site. Second, it still needs to be filtered and checked for contaminants. That's no excuse for threatening people. It's a fascinating story, and the horn here is a fitting tribute to it. I'll be here if you need anything. I don't think so. The interesting thing about this old colony is that it's mostly powered by clean, renewable energy. You'll see one of the methods used on the horizon up ahead. You're starting to make a lot of sense. Let's leave these good people alone for now and go check out the farms. Follow me up the elevator. Okie dokie, artichoke. There will be time for more later anyway. What do you mean? So much to see and learn about, eh? Most of them are happy to talk at length about what they do here. Their rugged lifestyle is a point of pride for a lot of these folks. Have a good one. Sadly, it's difficult to get additional construction done inside these underground caverns. Look, I'd like to help, but... What? Is that supposed to be funny or something? No, it's not that simple. I don't think it was even a legal sell, to be honest. The thing was very easy on the eyes. Feathers, all the colors of the rainbow. Nasty bite, though. All right, we're headed to the last stop. Right back where we began. I really hope so. Hey there, hope you brought a healthy thirst for history. You want the real answer? Order one of everything. The moniker, Brown Horse Tavern, is also a throwback to names of similar Earth restaurants hundreds of years before it was established. Now, what's a colus, you might say? Colus derives from the Latin word for hill, and scientists only gave names to groups of hills on a planet's surface. Every year, UC engineers go through a painstaking, month-long maintenance process. It's how this place has remained operational as long as it has. Why, hello there! I'm Bill Starsap of Starsap Tours. Let me tell you, this place is full of history and interesting facts. This colus used to be named after a character in a popular fantasy novel, but it was changed a couple hundred years ago to avoid any potential litigation. So what do you say? I've got an opening. I could take you on a tour right now if you'd like. Sounds good. Let's keep going then. Good question. It's largely the same, because this was the colony that pioneered the techniques you see elsewhere. Tourism is a major draw to this colony these days, and they respect that. I think you may be right. Wound up in the hospital and almost lost my hand. Still not enough for her to get rid of the dang thing. Anyway, there's a reason she's my ex-wife. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to mention that. That's what this place was originally called. So, let's talk about wind power, shall we? Don't get ahead of yourself. While the original inhabitants of the Titan astrobase lived in pods like you saw up above, they transitioned down here when this section of the base was finished in 2144. This planet's full of them, though, and they like to preserve that history here. Follow me. We'll come back here by the end of the tour and talk about the museum collection. If you've ever wanted to know what that early colonial life was like, this is your chance to embark on a fun-filled exhibition unlike any other. Titan is rich with hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. Surely you saw huge pools of the stuff on your descent into New Homestead. You know what? You might be... Wait, no, what am I saying? Oh, no one's ever asked me that before. Something to do with methane-eating microbes, I believe? I honestly don't know. Sorry. They have this whole moon here, basically made of hydrocarbons in their own backyard. They just couldn't get to it. Incredible how far we've come. Hey, no rush. I I don't see how. Since methane production is such an important part of the colony's livelihood, it's important that the techs notice any issues and react to them quickly. Stop trying to confuse me! I'm just doing my job, you know? I'm sure you're on the up and up. I doubt more talk is gonna change my mind. Yeah, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking before. By all means, go right ahead. Feel free to talk to the farmers, but I ask you respect their privacy and don't bother them too much. After all, they are on the job. What else can I tell you about the ice mines? You might have seen them in old movies or read about them somewhere. If not, I highly recommend looking into them sometime. They're beautiful animals. That's what I'm hoping. I'm not trying to make your life difficult, you know. Sadly, none. See, NASA funded the Titan Astrobase project because conditions seemed ripe for primordial life to form in Titan's methane pools. Well then. Are you sure? I never forget a face. Well, NASA defunded the xenobiology program in 2132, but a scientist by the name of Catherine Neely proposed research into advanced colony building on inhospitable worlds. You think that means you can push me around? Oh, not likely. Enjoy the rest of your stay in New Homestead. Sorry to hear. I tried to make it educational at least. You can't please everyone, I guess. Thanks anyway, and see you around. For instance, did you know that New Homestead was one of the first colonies established outside of Earth? It's been populated in some capacity for over 200 years. Well, what did we think of the tour? They're not in use anymore, but the colony has faithfully recreated them as a historical exhibit, true to the original purpose of the Titan Astrobase. These turbines have been integral to the colony's function since its establishment as a cheap, mostly reliable source of electricity. I'm starting to think you're right. You're right. Most surface wind on Titan isn't too terribly strong, but here, the altitude and other conditions are perfect for sustained wind power. That's right, New Homestead's famous wind farms. This spot was chosen for the colony in part because of its constant winds. I'll stop at each of our destinations if you want to look around. Or if you have any questions for me. You know what? I may be starting to like you. Don't get bent out of shape. Oh, wow. I really appreciate it. You know, I rely on tips from good people like you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Anyway, even if you've taken one before, I'm sure you'll rediscover something you liked the first time around. Or heck, maybe something you missed. Watch your step outside, by the way. The ice can be slippery if you're not careful. The goal is to keep people out of Dr. Lakota's infirmary. So for now, additional populations are housed in these stacks of old shipping crates. As you might expect, this is where some of the less wealthy can afford to live. Definitely check out the Brown Horse Tavern. Good food, great atmosphere. So you do have a backbone. You're wasting my time. Maybe we can still work something out. These displays are full of rare earth trinkets salvaged from before humanity left, and Maurice is happy to talk about the collection. You probably don't hear it very often where you're from, because it was usually a term reserved for unexplored planets, back when they didn't have the technology to describe what they were seeing firsthand. Avoid spending too much time outdoors. It's freezing out there. Of course, new homesteaders use it themselves for everything from generating heat to turning it into breathable oxygen via modern science. Hey, can you believe it? Back in the 20th century on Earth, they used to fight wars over natural resources like this and petroleum. True, you could, but I doubt you'll get all the information I'm gonna give you. And it can be pretty dangerous outside without a guide. You do that. But enough about me. We were talking about methane and other resources, right? Now there's just the matter of price. The going rate for a genuine Starsap tour is only 100 credits. There's nothing to talk about. I've already made myself clear. I don't get it. But don't worry. We'll stop somewhere for refreshments before the tour is over. You may think so, but I don't. We're going out into the frozen wastes of Titan to see what powers this planet. Ooh, that's a tough one. I honestly love Everything Anya serves here. I'd be doing her a disservice to recommend one dish over another. Space is extremely limited, so you'll notice some overflow here, but more residences also exist on lower levels, which are inaccessible to tours. I try to be. There's some methane on reserve for critical life support systems, but everything else here is otherwise powered by the units you see here. Well, there's plenty more where that came from if you're interested in taking one of my famous tours. Have any questions so far? Come back and let me know when you're ready to move on. Need some more time to think about it? Hope you enjoyed the tour. Don't forget to tell your friends. Well, I hope you'll come back and see us again sometime, and I hope you'll consider another Starsap tour. Tell your friends. Okay, you've made your point. All right, fine. You might have overdone it a little, but I respect a strong negotiator. I can see that. I seem to attract the types with big talk and empty pockets. Why would I want a tour of New Homestead, she says. I've heard this particular formation was caused by an ancient volcano. Something about steam and wind, then worn down over time. But I'm not 100% sure. As you might imagine, generating energy was a real challenge back in the day because the technology was much more crude then. Good. Now, maybe we can work this out like reasonable people. That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the brown horse? It's okay, I can wait here if you need to run and grab some more credits. All right. I'm willing to hear you out. I'm still listening. This colony is home to the longest-running establishment still in existence, the Brown Horse Tavern. New Homestead's quite the learning experience. Bring your kids. This isn't getting us anywhere. That's true. I know. I gotta work on my pitch a little. Maybe I could give you a discount just this once to prove my tour is worth it. So here it is, Emir's Horn. You're free to take a closer look if you like. You know what? I like you. Maybe we could work something out. Any more than that, and I'd be giving away the tour for free. Starsap Tours. Just see me, Bill Starsap, if you want a truly one-of-a-kind touring experience of New Homestead. It's less vital to their survival these days, as they also import supplemental food from other colonies, including meats, dairy, and synthetics. True. Hey, tell you what. I might be able to lower the price for you. Just let me think about it. I think... no, stop it. You're trying to confuse me. It's impressive that was all they had back then, and still make it work to this day. You're looking at a piece of history. Sure, wind power is used throughout the galaxy, but these people were able to make do with it for hundreds of years. I'm glad you understand the position I'm in here. Any questions about the farms? This area we're walking through is the nerve center of the plant, where technicians keep an eye on the operation. I'm not sure the exact count, but New Homestead is a fairly small colony. Don't think I'm desperate or anything, but you do have a point. That doesn't mean I'm a pushover. Maybe so. Just like my last ex-wife's pet. She had this gorgeous, I don't know what you'd call it, creature. The guy that sold it to her couldn't tell her what it was or where it was from. Sorry, I appreciate the offer, but exposure doesn't put food on my table. Now remember, these people aren't actors. They actually live here, so try to be respectful of that. Used to be Bramblefoot before that. Their ancestors liked a different type of fiction. None taken. I get it all the time. If you think it sounds made up, well, that's because it is. Exports mostly, since this world is so methane rich and has the infrastructure for it, a lot of the UC's methane comes from Titan. I love giving these tours. I understand. Just be careful. It can get slippery out that way. I'll wait here. Take care. Okay, good. I don't like a pushover. I know what you're trying to do. It isn't gonna work. I can see that. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes. Powering New Homestead. Hold on. You're trying to confuse me, aren't you? Sorry, but I can't. I come from an eccentric family. Back in the early days of space travel, generations ago, my ancestors were really into science fiction. Oh, sure, I'll be here waiting. The locals love to talk with tourists, but they'll let you know if they're busy. So please respect them. You might be right. Don't mistake being reasonable for being a pushover. I really doubt it. I'm not an unreasonable person, you know.